So, guess who takes whatever they want? Nothing. Now I think people are starting to realize nothing is out of reach or off the table for the University of Texas Sports Inc. Texas A&M gets to flip off Texas. Had their chance. Gets to flip off Texas in a national championship contest, best of 3 series in the College World Series, in a sport that Texas has owned for decades. I mean, that has been the sport of Texas. They've owned it a long, long time. Instead, thinking they got a chance to flip off Texas, who ruins everything for them, they get to flip them off. Instead, they get beaten by another UT. Their coach flips out in a news conference over the, quote, rudeness of a reporter even bothered to ask him if he's looking for another job. And then less than 24 hours later, he takes the job he denied having any interest in, and the Aggies' nightmare continues. I don't know. I think you have to stretch it. I don't know of another circumstance. Now, I know it's college baseball. It's not college football. It's not college basketball. But, look, I mean, A&M's been good under this guy. Texas had owned the sport for a long time. So at both schools, it's a big deal. But the fact that one is rated by the other is, I'm not going to say almost unheard of. It's unheard of. Except Texas does whatever they want, whenever they want. And you know what else? They pretty much get whatever they want. The ultimate reality in college sports today, richest wins. Not sometimes, richest wins all the time. They get what they want. So Texas, of course, is hosting, as many of you now have heard me rant several times. I can't do it anymore. It's just too gross. Texas is hosting a grotesque party to celebrate joining the SEC. And then it turns around and promptly raids Texas A&M of its coach. I'll say this, and it's pretty rare for me to do this. I underestimated Texas. I didn't think they'd go here. I really didn't. I know it's a consideration. I know there's a relationship between the two. There's a relationship between Schlossnagle, the new coach at Texas, obviously, and Chris Del Conte, and all that stuff. I didn't think they'd go there. I mean, you stand to reason. I did say last week I thought one of the two coaches in the College World Series Championship Series would end up being a coach at Texas. I just assumed to be a guy at Tennessee. Every Aggie fear of Texas coming is already playing itself out. In other words, joining the SEC. They bail to get away from good Big Brother. They're like a lot of schools, they get tired of having to deal with Texas dictating the terms, dictating TV contracts, dictating everything. So A&M moves on to the SEC only for Texas to come rolling in and then in no time host a party and steal their coach. And laugh about it the whole time because they don't care. And they'll buy whatever they want. No is never an option for Texas. No one tells them no. Have you ever noticed that? No one tells them no. So Texas let baseball coach David Pierce twist for a few weeks, I thought. I really did. It was a horrible season. It was a disaster. Texas flamed out of any meaningful tournament. And in a sport, it dominated. His pitching staff, David Pierce, his pitching staff had a game this year that is straight from a Little League baseball box score. It was so bad. They hit 9 different batters. So they had to fire him. In my opinion, they had to fire the guy. He had some success, no doubt. They had to fire him. It took several weeks to do it. It took several weeks after the season had ended. Texas officially fired him, Monday night, I guess? Yeah, Monday night. Then they made the hire at 7:45 p.m. And he was off to a bad start. Really was. Now, I don't think it's going to matter in the end, but you did learn quite a bit. This whole soap opera, which is going to continue to play itself out, you got to learn a lot about how Texas operates and how college sports operates and how coaches operate. So here's kind of the lesson to take away from Texas raiding A&M less than 24 hours after they play for a championship. Would have been their first championship since, what, the 40s? I think that's right. So he's off to a bad start. Texas is not going to care. I don't think it haunts him very long. I think he did the right thing in being introduced to Texas today and apologizing. He's good at what he does. Very successful baseball coach at every stop, including A&M. But he was tone deaf. Best way to explain it. A bizarre post-College World Series news conference has been played everywhere by now.
With respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. And that's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question. But I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. To write that.
Yeah, okay. So that's Jim Schlossnagle, who then less than 24 hours later, with the Texas athletics director, playing with a giant checkbook, hiding in College Station to go hire the guy. They do the deal at 7:45, drive straight to Austin, and I guess the family says, let's get the hell out of Caldwell. So, look, that was a ridiculous way to handle the news conference. He's since apologized. He should have. There's nothing left he can say at this point except, hey, I'm sorry, that was handled badly. He seems to have owned up to that. But here are some things you have to learn. What you learn from that news conference, and it's going to happen again. Don't worry, it will happen again. And that is this. Number one, when the boss of whatever fill-in-the-blank, usually college program, when the boss, or in the NFL to a degree, owners do this a lot too, but when the boss of the program says the coach's job is safe, and that if that boss gets snippy about the question, or anybody gets snippy about the question, the job is not safe, and the coach is going to get whacked. Number two, you just take this away every single time. When the coach says, I'm not looking at another job, and he gets snippy about the question, that coach is leaving for another job. It's almost, I mean, you know it's code already. When somebody gets defensive and somebody gets snippy about being asked any questions, and of course it's going to come up. Of course, this is a bizarre twist. It doesn't happen. Look, it's not like A&M is a 1AA school who just was struggling. It's not even like a program that's struggling. You know, they're an eyelash away from winning the championship, and they pay too, not like Texas. But so this is rare territory for a coach to leave that successful of a program, and not to mention it's your in-state rival, one of which has a big brother complex already. A&M is was fed up with Texas before they joined the SEC. Now, this one stings. I didn't think they'd go there. Yeah, the guy will do a good job. He will. He should. You shouldn't. You have no reason not to be a dominant program in any single sport at Texas. You have everything you need, and if you ask for more, you get more. I would submit to you that oftentimes Texas underachieves, oftentimes because it is such a country club. They do pay so much. Life does get very easy there. I don't know if that's going to be true of this guy. I don't know. He's been incredibly successful, but he is going to the ultimate country club. I mean, it's the sweetest gig in any sport there is. So what he should have said that day, which I think he's owned now, he should have just said, hey, I'm sitting here today. This was a tough loss. I'm here to talk about this team and this season and what a great ride it's been. I love this team, and I wanted this championship for them. I'm not talking about anything other than this team and this series and this past season. So let's do that. Ask me about those things, and I will gladly go on and on and on. That's all he had to do. And then repeat it again. He didn't have to flip out. He didn't have to get snippy, and it made it plainly obvious that he was going to leave. That's the way it works. He handled it all wrong. I don't think it'll matter. I think he already did the right thing today when he officially took the job. I guess he signed a contract, they said, now reportedly at 7:45. But he said the right things today. But here's the takeaway. And the rest of the SEC is going to learn this pretty quickly, too. Just like the rest of college sports is going to learn this stuff. It'll matter. This should matter and will matter to A&M. Yep. Yeah, this one had to sting. So, yes, it'll matter to them. And here's how it works. Texas does anything it wants, and it takes anything it wants. That's the way it's going to be. The SEC probably is already well aware. Now, I don't know. I mean, they seem to be fairly successful in football right now, so there's no reason to raid. But if they feel like raiding, they'll raid. They'll do it. It's the best gigs, plural, in all of college sports and arguably in all of sports because you're going to get rich. You're going to be taken care of. You don't have to worry about money again. I think it's probably true of A&M too. But in the end, man, I don't even think there's certainly not a written rule about hiring somebody away from a rival, in-state rival. We can make an argument that there's kind of an unwritten rule, but they don't follow that at Texas. They don't have to. They don't want to. They never even think about it. It's just, in the end, a brutal reminder for A&M. A brutal reminder. I mean, this is every Big Brother nightmare scenario coming true already for A&M. It's also going to be a brutal reminder for the rest of the SEC.